Hey everyone, welcome to episode 18 of the Miami Tech Pod. I'm Cesar Fernandez, and I am joined by the squad here, Will Weinrob, Maria Durkee, and Brian Breslin. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Maria, first of all, I want to know how you're doing. I heard you had a really late night meeting founders and potential investment targets last night. Is that right?
Really late for my age, I guess, because
just for the record, Maria sent us a text that she might not be able to make it on the pod because of the shenanigans from last night. So we're glad she's here.
Maria's wearing the hangover outfit there. She's like, in the
I'm
hoodie,
usually very put together.
in the hoodie with the baseball cap, just like trying to get over Thursday night. But it's all good. She was working for all of the Florida Funders employees listening to the pod. She was working the night shift while you all were sleeping.
She likes to refer to it as quote networking. Cesar?
It is. I mean, she was hanging out with founders who are building companies, and who knows? Maybe we look at this 5 years from now, and one of those companies are worth a cool billy. We'll see.
Well, we met one of Cesar's friends who's an avid listener of the podcast, Jason. So shout out to Jason last night. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, Jason Wong, big shout out. He's a good friend of mine. He was one of the early Uber employees here in the Miami market that launched it. Serial entrepreneur, built education consulting business, has his own fund. I mean, he's just a really solid human being. Love that guy. Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about, let's jump right in. Will, you hosted a panel this week about raising capital and tips on exiting a company. You want to share a little bit about that? I think it was a really well attended event at Building, was it? Or
it was at the lab.
The lab.
Yep.
There you go.
It was at the lab. Great event. We did a little collaboration, us at the Local Leaders Collective, which, quick plug for the Local Leaders Collective for folks listening that don't know, peer support group for entrepreneurs. It's an organization kind of like EO or YPO that's a little more accessible for folks at the early stage. Peer support for entrepreneurs and founders. And we collabed with On Deck to do this event at the Lab Miami, which was a fantastic event. I was joined by Juha Mikkola and Adam Garfield. Juha, obviously, from WinCode fame and success, and Adam Garfield from Speedy Tap fame and success locally here. Sold his company to Wix just a few months ago. Juha sold his company to BrainStation. And just sharing candidly lessons learned along the way, both on the financing side of, all the different ups and downs of raising capital for your company, pitfalls to avoid and things like that. And then obviously, if you're raising capital for your company, it starts the hourglass, the timer starts that eventually you're going to have to provide some form of liquidity event. You're going to have to return your capital to these investors at some point. So you're on the path to exit. So what are some tips for exiting your company and eventually selling your company? So we did the best we could in an hour to kind of give people both sides of it, to the the fundraising side and then the acquisition side. And it was just a great crowd, great energy. It was like the first event that I did like that, where I was on a panel post-pandemic, and it just felt really good. Maria was there. Thank you, Maria, for coming and supporting. And we grabbed lunch afterwards. Maria, I think I told you this maybe like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, today feels just so damn good. Like a panel and lunch and Winwood, and it felt normal again. And it was just a great day. Yesterday was a great day. So appreciate everyone for coming, and we'll do more moving forward, hopefully.
And Maria, you were on a panel a few days before that with the mayor and Michael Saman and a couple other people, right? It was also an On Deck event.
Yeah, it was a panel called Bet on Miami, and it was Mayor Suarez, Melissa Krinsman of Crillian moderated. She's also kind of the VC in residence, I guess, for Venture Miami, doing incredible work. I know we've talked about her when she originally was appointed to this role. Michael Saman, who is also on our podcast, and Rebecca Fishman-Lipsey of the Miami Foundation, who's incredible and so eloquent. So it's always wonderful but also nerve-wracking to be on a panel with her, because she just is, much more eloquent than I can be. But it was a great panel talking about this moment in Miami. And for those who aren't aware, kind of on deck crew is like a mixture of people who are from here and people or who have been living here and people who are new here. So it was great to be able to answer some of their questions and to hear from them on what they're thinking as they're considering a move here.
And Brian, you and I have been on no panels. We have not done shit. We're slacking. Let's get our panel game up, Brian.
I mean, no one's been inviting me, so I feel a little left out.
In all fairness, I wasn't invited to do a panel either. I just made one.
So make one.
Clearly, Will has way more initiative than Cesar or I. But maybe Cesar and I are going to do our own panel. We may or may not invite you to. We'll see. It's TBD. Speaking
of old and new people kind of gathering together, we saw a little bit of gathering online. There's a little bit of a Miami Tech Week drama on Twitter. Things got a little heated. I think we should address it, but then move on after with a little bit of a PSA. But there was, I think Austin Bunsen posted something online where he kind of wrote up a tale of 3 tech weeks. Austin was, I think, our first guest on the pod, or one of the first guests on the pod, and he kind of went through this dichotomy of all of this energy that came out. You had this unofficial event unofficial Miami Tech Week that was created, by a tweet from Delian at Founders Fund. He had a bit of back and forth with Delian. We had Alexis Ohanian jumped in. What do you all think about this? I know it got a lot of play on Twitter and overall, but I'd love to get your thoughts. Will, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, I think what Austin wrote was very well done and very thoughtful. I think, Austin has been building and helping build this community for a long time. So he has a perspective that Delian doesn't have. He knows all the people that were involved in building Miami Tech Week back in 2014 and all those years ago. And obviously folks here on this podcast were a big part of Miami Tech Week at those days. So I think there is Austin made a great point in that if you're coming into town, I think you should be collaborative. I do think that Delian, he probably he meant well with what he wanted to try to do. I think he was bringing a lot of folks to Miami and wanted to get people engaged in the scene. So I don't think there was any ill will there whatsoever. But I think, frankly, there was a lack of communication or a lack of collaboration that maybe could have happened if you did a little bit of research. Is Miami Tech Week a thing? Did it exist before? Who are the players involved, etc.? And then I don't know any of the backstory behind the conversations that happened after Austin and Delian connected. But it seems like the community is now better for it because apparently Austin connected Delian to Melissa Medina, who's running Emerge, and some other folks. So it looks like things are on the right track. So it's one of those things where, hey, if it had to happen, let it happen early on, and let's get everybody, moving forward in unison. And now it looks like Miami Tech Week 2022 is a uniform production, and that's progress.
And there's a bit of a backstory here on the actual, not just Miami Tech Week, but the actual MiamiTechWeek.com domain name. Is that right, Brian?
Way to put me on the spot there, Cesar. Yeah, so I'm the owner of that domain since 2009, and it's been used multiple times over the years for different event series and things like that for Refresh and other community partners. But I leased it to Austin about a couple weeks ago, right before all this beef started, for an undisclosed period of time and an undisclosed amount of crypto. And I had no idea this was going to blow up like this. One of my main takeaways from this whole thing was I had no idea that people gave a shit about other people's beefs on the internet when they had nothing to do with any of it. The amount of people commenting and picking sides and jumping into the Twitter fray on this is mind-bogglingly stupid. You know, the fact that people are wasting their time on all this stuff, like, I couldn't believe it. But to follow on to Will's point, though, I think, sure, I get that a lot of people felt sort of left out. You know, they were like, all these people are coming to town and having fun without us. You know, we can have fun too. And so I think it was neat that sort of inspired locals to create their own ad hoc events and stuff. You know, like that. Chris Adamo and Natalia Martinez's, you know, bi-weekly happy hour at Lagnep was packed with folks, you know, and I think the rest of the week, you know, the Shrimp Society had 500 people RSVP, you know, so I don't think these things would have gotten the exposure that they did because, or otherwise, if had it not been for all this sort of hype and all that. And I think we need to just figure out, how do we capitalize on this hype train, you know, and make it work for us for next year. And like, there's already a working group of folks, including Delian and including some folks from different orgs here in town for Miami Tech Week 2022. And so that'll be interesting to see what comes of it.
Yeah, that's a good point, in that there were definitely a lot of silver linings around that. At the same time, I also think, like, look, if someone wants to have a private event, like, because they're, you know, they have some business play or some investment play, like, you know, don't view this as like, not everything has to be a referendum on like new people that move to Miami versus old people, right? Like, people could have private events. Like let's just focus on connecting each other, helping each other out, building big companies, and not get worked up about whether this was an official event or whether someone like Brian, who's an OG, owned a domain name and built something, you know, 10 years ago or whatever, right? Like, it's just, I think we need to just, like, when these types of things happen, it's cool to see people get scrappy and building, you know, more inclusive events, but also, like, it's okay. Not everyone's going to be invited to every single event. I certainly am not, and, you know, a lot of folks aren't. And I think it's, you know, I'm ready for us to move on, and I'm glad to echo what Will and Brian said, that this kind of morphed into a really kind of big thing that's already in the works, planning for next year. I don't know.
I want to add something too. I think one takeaway we can all sort of observe from all this activity that's been going on for the last 6 months is that it took outside forces of people coming to town to sort of inspire or light a fire under our butts to start collaborating more, to start doing more things, and to start, you know, reigniting, you know, all this stuff. And so the majority of the things are still being organized by locals. You know, there's all these things going on, and it just took, you know, the fact that other people were interested in us as a community for us to start collaborating much more rapidly than before. You know, there's micro events that are popping up every single day now from people who are just, you know, meeting on WhatsApp or Twitter or whatever, you know.
I mean, we got to slow them down. Like, Maria can't go to every single happy hour until 11:30 p.m. I mean, like, her poor liver, she's out there hustling, and like, we need a cap on events. Is that, you agree, Maria?
No. I'm just kidding.
There we go.
On that note, I'm hosting a Women in Miami Tech happy hour next Tuesday. So this airs on Monday, so it's tomorrow. Join us at the Oasis. And it's in collaboration with Endeavor Miami's female founders and funders. So ladies, I hope to see you there.
Awesome. Those, I always see the Instagram and Twitter pictures after the fact. They look really well attended. Whoever the crew that you all have building those events is really neat.
Thanks. This is kind of like our first official one since the pandemic, so I'm excited to get them up started again and welcome a whole new crew of people. So
awesome. Shifting gears a bit, we got some news this past county commission meeting for some action on cryptocurrency. On an 11-2 vote, the Miami-Dade County Commission voted to establish the countywide cryptocurrency task force. It was an item sponsored by Commissioner Danielle Cohen-Higgins. And ultimately it's a working group of people in the industry, of local residents, of policymakers that are all going to get together and advise the county on how to be a more crypto friendly county. This is a pretty interesting thing, right? We have a lot of action in Miami. I know, Brian, you've talked a lot about how Miami has for a very long time had deep roots in like the early days of crypto, and a lot of big names in crypto have either lived here or built businesses here. But this is government kind of taking that extra step, after we see the Bitcoin conference moved here. We're starting to see a lot of, companies being built on the blockchain. They're headquartered here. Brian, what are your thoughts on kind of like the county's nod here to making this a bit more of a statement on, crypto being, Miami being welcoming of cryptocurrencies, right? Not if government are taking that position, right? They're taking more of a cautious position.
I mean, I think this is our city's way of building the next generation of Wall Street, right? And supporting that and having that be built here versus in New York. I think New York just issued some ordinances that are sort of unfavorable to crypto companies, and Suarez was tweeting about that, how he thought it was a bad move on their part, but it's a good move for us, right? So more reason for these folks to come here. I mean, look, crypto is interesting. I've been following it since 2012, 13, and like it goes through waves where, early on it was the crazy, anarchists who didn't want any government involved, and then after that it was like, a few get rich quick scammers, and then it was like speculators, and then it's sort of gone through all these cycles, and we're in, I don't know what part of the cycle we're in right now because it's super heated up, but I think it's interesting to see all this activity here in Miami. And like, I know Will's super busy in this space, and his WhatsApp groups are probably blowing up nonstop with people interested in learning about it, trying stuff, or whatever.
Well, I had to turn off all the notifications for the WhatsApp group. I mean, like crazy amount of activities. It's like 24/7. If you ever want to like plug into the matrix, you jump in on one of those, and it's nonstop enthusiasm and tips and advice. I mean, what's your plan to monetize those things?
That WhatsApp group?
The WhatsApp groups.
No, that. So first of all, shout out to Damien, who does a fantastic job with the Miami Tech WhatsApp groups, like Miami Tech Life, and reach out to Damien if you're trying to get plugged in there. Just terrific job, Telegram and WhatsApp on that side with all the activities he's got going on, boating, and now there's a golf channel and a tennis channel, etc. I run this little kind of hacky investment ops WhatsApp where it's just like a bunch of degenerates that share the stock or the crypto trend of the day. So there's been a lot of Doge talk, I think, for the last month.
There's so much Doge talk on that. What's happening? Like with Doge? Can you give me a hot take on Doge? I am a perpetual misser of trains here.
Did you see?
Is this going to $1 or what?
Did you see? Well, first off, did you see someone put out this chart? They're like, if you put all your stimmies into Doge only over the last year, you would be sitting on $500,000. You know how life-changing that would have been for so many people? I mean, listen, my opinion as someone who's been tinkering in this space for a long time is that Doge is absolute trash, that it's just a joke, and like people who are buying it now are buying it just for the meme factor, or to get rich quick, because it has no utility, has no network of its own. There's no one maintaining it. There hasn't been a commit to the code in 3 years, so it's sort of like even the founder of it is probably sitting around like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have 10 billion Doge sitting here because I think it's ridiculous. But I think the big question will be like tomorrow on SNL with Elon as the host, or 3 days ago, depending on when you're listening to this, whether or not he'll pump Doge or he'll be like, aha, this is just a joke. I just sold all my Doge.
I think the over-under is 3 on how many times Elon will mention Doge on SNL this weekend. So let's see. It'd be interesting. But yeah, it's weird times, man. Listen, COVID happened. and we've been living in an alternate reality ever since. Miami is the new Silicon Valley. People come here to raise money. Doge is approaching $1. Everything is just, it's just bananas. The world is flipped upside down. So everything's possible. It's an exciting time because everything is literally possible these days.
We are excited to announce that the Miami Tech Pod is issuing a coin, the Croqueta coin. We've been working on it for months now. There will only be 305 of them available. And stay tuned.
Hey, this would do very well. The Croqueta coin, only 305. If you want to see this happen, at Cesar on Twitter, and let's make this thing happen.
Share the next post on Twitter to be eligible. Is there an NFT component? Like it's 305 unique pictures and drawings of croquetas?
Yeah, we're going to do a Croqueta coin. We're going to commission a Croqueta coin. We're going to issue 305 of them on like a rareable. Yeah. And all proceeds go to something, right? We'll figure out a worthy donation that we can give it to, or,
Will, why are you trying to give away our money, man? Why are you trying to...
10% of proceeds go to a charity.
There you go.
For every croqueta coin that someone purchases from us, we will also donate one croqueta to a hungry person somewhere.
I like that.
We may be hungry at the time. So
I like that. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, look, Cesar, that's your new project for next week is the Croqueta coin.
We will, look, crazier things have happened, Dogecoin. So
that's right.
We'll see. We'll see if the people are going to speak out here. If the people want the Croqueta coin to happen, we'll know. We'll know. So
I mean, I feel like Maria should be the biggest advocate for Dogecoin in all of Miami because of its affiliation with dogs, right?
But there is no real affiliation, no?
That doesn't matter. Its symbol is a dog.
I was so disappointed. Yeah, true.
All right. What's everyone up to this weekend? Maria, you have any how many events are you going to? How many checks are you writing this weekend, Maria?
I do not know. I need to see my mother for Mother's Day.
Oh, shout out to all the moms building companies, right? That's hard. That's super hard. Like all of the 24-year-olds who are like on, which nothing wrong with it. Like we need more 24-year-old building companies, but all of those like 24-year-old guys, tweeting off like how many hours a day that they're hustling, trying to make it, trying to like launch the next big thing. It is 10 times harder to do that as a mom. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms in Miami Tech. We appreciate you. And that's all I got to say. This was episode 18 of the Miami Tech Pod. We appreciate everyone listening, subscribing, liking to the show. We got a lot of cool things in the works. If you're following us on Twitter, you can see a little bit of that in the works in terms of future collabs, future guests. Because we just ask people, right? Brian fires off tweets and gets guests left and right. That's how we roll here. So thanks for tuning in this week, and we will be with you next week. Take care.